Hello, and thanks for looking back at the channel. And as many of you commented before, you wanted to see the Hornby Dublo EDP2 train set running first out of the newest two trains I've selected for train set running. So indeed, I'm quite excited because I've been looking forward to getting this going. That's what we're doing today. So before we get any running done, I've got a couple of things to show you and just chat about. Firstly, the table I'm on up here. If any of you have seen my very early videos, you'll know I had a Hornby Dublo and Super 4 test track. Well, now I've got the main layout set up, that's probably redundant, so I spent a bit of time tidying up this table, putting away the track, giving it a vacuum, and I think it's going to be an ideal place for us now in the future to run the train sets. And also it's got this fibre board which just absorbs a little bit of sound, so probably better than the laminate. Okay, well, what's the first thing to show you? Well, maybe this transformer. Now, I hope you can perhaps pick out the label. A lovely Meccano transformer. Now, before you rush out and plug your old one in, if you've got one, please get it checked by an electrician. There's many things that can go wrong with these over the years, especially this cable. It's all rubber insulation inside this woven fabric, and if it degrades, you're in for a nasty shock. And also the bottom can distort and allow screwdrivers or objects to touch live mains. You'll see that there's nuts and bolts on this now where the rivets were. It's been disassembled, thoroughly checked and tested, so I'm happy to use this today. Now, there's some great features on this, and the first one really I want to show you is what's underneath these terminals. So it does say on the label fuses under terminals, so I'll just take that out, and here we have this lovely fuse. Now, I do hope I can focus in on this. It's just a beautiful item. Let me turn it this way up. Look at that label. That's just a wonderful looking label. These are sand filled 1.5 amp slow blow. Now, needless to say, both these fuses were blown. So they're soldered at the ends, so I cleaned the solder off and threaded through the sand the nearest equivalent of fuse wire I had, which was 2 amps, so I need to probably get some 1.5 amp, but I had none available. So these are slightly stronger now, so I'm going to treat all the system with a bit of respect. We don't want any short circuits, but I wanted to keep the original fuse inside these terminals, and there is another identical one under there. But this is what we're going to be using today to power the set. Now, I'll just get the lid off. A couple of things to show you inside. I do think there's been a couple of extra bits of straight included in this set, so we will use those, make the oval a bit bigger. First radius curves, well, and I have given the tops of the rails just a quick clean with a Scotch-Brite pad, very fine. Here's the controller itself, the AC that comes out of this transformer, and it is AC, there's no rectifier in this, so the AC from this goes into this little speed controller, which has got a rectifier built into it and gives us the controllable 12 volts DC for our loco. Now, I've equipped it with some new tails, some softer wire. I'll just put that down there to connect it up, so it's got from the transformer marked on there and then to the track marked on the other end, and it does have a safety cutout too. I'll tell you why I changed the wires, because look at this. Could be gardening wire, this, I don't know, really strong, horrible single strand wire, probably all the previous user had at the time. Not ideal stuff, so I'm just going to keep that in the box. Now, a few of you mentioned you hadn't seen one of these covers before. Well, I've looked at my other Hornby Dublo sets, and this is the only set with a cover, so I'm going to try and look after that. And there is the Duchess of Atholl. Now, I'll just lift this out. I've given it a gentle recommissioning. I'll just edit in the loco on the rolling road. No new parts. I cleaned up the original brushes remag the Alinco magnet, which is in this one. This isn't a horseshoe, just gave it a quick remag, and it's running quite nicely. And also I don't think it's had the hugest amount of running because the shoes are not too badly worn. Now I have got a couple of other Duchess of Atholls out to show you because there's a couple of differences. I mean, there's many differences over the life of the loco. This is a gloss version, well, slightly glossier. You can see that's not matte black, it's more of a satin, but different paint finish. And this one's got a slightly different casting. Now if I try and lie it down here, you'll perhaps notice that underneath the name badge there's a almost rectangular lug there. Now just let me bring the original set loco into view. You can see that there's a depression in this one, so I don't quite know why there's a difference, but it's an interesting variation. And there are models available with different coloured nameplates. Sadly I don't have one of those, but a sort of yellowy nameplate. And I'm also told, and from reading a book, that there are some with smoke deflectors, but I believe most of those were reconditioned units from the factory, painted this colour and labelled Duchess of Atholl, but they're probably Montrose body shells. But loads of interesting variations to look out for. So there's our set. I'm quite excited to get this all connected up. One more thing I perhaps ought to mention is I think it's an earlier set. You can see that the tab on the track there is a narrow type. There is a wider type, and I sadly don't have a piece to show you, but the earlier track has the narrow tab, so it's not the earliest set, but I think it could date from around 1950, making it around 70 odd years old. So I think it's going to be great to see this 70-year-old Hornby Dublo train set in action. And I'm just going to pause the filming now and get the track clip together, and we'll see how she runs. So here's the oval. I've got it set up, wiring snaking about. We've got the lovely old Bakelite mains transformer taking us down to sort of 14-15 volts AC, going into here, being rectified, giving us the controllable 12 volt we need for the train. Now just before I run the loco, which is resting nicely on the back of the layout, I was talking about the different tabs in the first section of the video. So here I've found one with the larger tab, a piece of track. So the smaller, older type of tab, and then the later type of tab. And they also meddled around with the rails. Sometimes they're all brass, sometimes they're steel. Lots of evolution in the life of the 3-rail track. Okay, well I'm going to start feeding in a bit of power, and I can hear a hum. Ooh, and she bursts into life. So I'm not going to have it at top speed. Just try and see if it'll go around this speed so you can get a look at it. Listen to that. That noise, you can't replicate that. The noise of the heavy wheels rolling on the tinplate track. Let's just put a little bit more power on. So there we go, 70-year-old toy, still performing. Looks good. Sounds great. Excellent smell coming from this loco now as it warms up. Still on its original armature. Wound in Binns Road 70 odd years ago. Amazing how these items have stood the test of time. Now we've got a slight hicker there, but no, it's back into life. A little bit of dirt somewhere. I notice, I think the front bogie is derailed. Maybe that's what caused it, so I'm just going to bring it into a stop so we can perhaps, yeah, and look, we've got a voltage overload situation. So let's take a look at this front bogie. I don't know whether you can, let me, if I bring it that round. Yeah, look, there's the front wheels just jumped off the track. Right, so re-energise, and can we move away again? Yeah. Well, while I'm down at this angle, it seems like a good place to stay just for a second. The camera doesn't seem to want to focus brilliantly, but what a lovely looking item. Well, I think I'm going to have a bit of fun with this. Just let it run round. There probably will be the odd bit of derailing. I think the track's been clipped together and taken apart quite a few times in its life, and it's easy to see that some of the fish plates are bent and the track has been wiggled. This track responds very well to being straightened, just checked over. The only thing you have to worry about is whether the little insulators on the third rail are broken and the third rail drops down onto the tin plate. Well, I've had an excellent time getting this old set going, and next time we're looking at train sets, it's going to be the London Transport set that will be on this table. In the next video, I'm hoping to have a little bit more information about the kit-built speedometer I got at Christmas. Maybe we'll be testing that out on the main layout. But until then, I'm going to leave you with this Duchess of Atholl and its wonderful L.M.S coaches. And until the next video, I'll say goodbye.